And
We are
I'm curious.
live.
Yay! I'm curious if people who are watching this on the StreamYard link itself, if we will see them pop into the chat and say things. I think I see a couple people looking at us right now. So, Amanda, I'm going to go ahead and have you chat a little bit while I do some housekeeping.
All right. Welcome, everyone. We are so excited to have you here. This is Surviving the Blowups, what to do when our children are pushing our buttons. Or, maybe other people's children are pushing your buttons. If you're in the teaching world like Molly, sometimes your job might involve children. So if you have little humans around you at all that sometimes push your buttons, you are in the right place to learn how to better care for those situations. So pumped. This is such a great collaboration. I'm really looking forward to everyone joining.
Yes, we've got some people on right now, so that's great. Oh, yay! Some people are chiming in, saying good evening. Thank you. Good to see you.
Hi, Heather.
Hey, Heather.
Happy to have you here. Heather actually is a single mom, so
All
definitely
right.
needs the support. And also, she's our intern for Carve Your Own Path, so
Oh,
excited to have her in
fantastic.
here. Yeah.
Lovely. Yes. Would you like to introduce yourself, Amanda? What you
I
do and why you do it?
I would love to. So, my name is Amanda Costura. I am a licensed independent social work supervisor. So, I have founded a nonprofit called Carve Your Own Path, where we focus on holistic mental wellness and prevention and education. So, sessions like tonight, where I get to collab with Molly, are just wonderful because they support our mission to get more information and education out there in the world for the things that society doesn't teach us, but we need to use every single
Absolutely.
day.
Um, I'm Molly Feigl. I'm a certified parent coach. I've also taught elementary music for 20 years, so I know a lot about kids. And one of the reasons that I'm doing this is to help parents parent in this post-pandemic world. So we're diving into things like that. And I have two kids of my own, a 12-year-old and a 14-year-old. And there are times where things happen where it feels like they are um, pushing my buttons a little bit. So so
Just a little bit.
I'm gonna see if I can share screen. I'm not even certain if we need to right now. Um, our goals. Did we already talk about our goals? I don't think we did. Let me just add this in. Our goals tonight are, and hi Kate, I see you. Thanks for chiming in. She's all the way in British Columbia, another teacher person, friend of
Wow,
mine.
awesome.
So our goals tonight are to give you a foundational understanding of what's happening when your kid is doing something. To teach you how to regulate yourself first, because that's more important than we think, and to empower you to co-regulate with your own children. And I'm looking to see if, oh, what's the problem? So the problem, I'm looking at our script here to see what is the problem. How many times have you been caught in a power struggle with your little human? Have you reacted in a way you weren't particularly proud of? What we've noticed in both our professions and in our personal lives, working with parents and children, is that oftentimes our buttons are pushed.
Yes.
Amanda.
Yeah. And I guess I should have mentioned I also am a parent. So mine's 18 months old, so lots of emotions and challenges happening here. So those consistent relationship patterns that are between the parent and child that often come up that we've noticed in those situations are feeling angry, the situation just totally getting escalated, right? It might have started with the milk
Mhm.
spilling, and now everyone's screaming, and there's things all over the place. Um, there's yelling, just total blow ups, feeling like you lack control, both ends, right? Parent and kid. Any other examples where you felt like, oh my gosh, like what happened here in this dynamic between yourself as the parent or the caregiver in that role and the child, where you just felt, okay, I could have used some skills here to make this
Right.
not explode as big?
Right. I have a story. I have a story about that where I felt like one of the adults in this graphic over to the side. I'm going to remove that for a second though, so everyone can just see us. But I I got a phone call from my eldest child's school a couple years ago, and they said that he had done something wrong. He had like broken something that someone had made, and I got so angry. My reaction surprised me. It was the first time I'd ever had a phone call from school, and I just like internally erupted. I was thinking, I am a teacher. He's not going to be one of those kids, not my kid. And my visceral reaction was so strong, it surprised me. And I am actually glad that he didn't come home for a few hours because I was able to take control of myself. But I just felt absolutely like that. Has that ever happened to you, Amanda?
So, the phone call example brought a great example to mind for me. Some people might know this about me, but I run a very busy schedule on 3 days of childcare. On the other 2 days, weekdays when I'm home with my kiddo, sometimes I try to get things done. And this day, I had the silly assumption that I could call the IRS and successfully make a call to them while home with my 18-month-old, and everything was going great while I was on
Okay.
hold for a half an hour. And then the IRS person finally answered the phone after 30 minutes. And at that point, what did my child decide to do? Lose his actual shit,
Oh no.
screaming, yelling, throwing himself all over the place because now my
Right.
attention is on the phone with the IRS. And
Oh,
I did not do well. I totally just, I was muting and saying, stop it, and then unmuting and saying, yes. It was not great. So I just had to hang up with the person that I waited a half hour to talk to try to call again
oh,
another day because I
right.
couldn't hear him through the screaming.
Right, exactly. Um, if you're watching this with us, would you put into whatever chat you have, because we are live streaming this on StreamYard and we also have it on YouTube and on Facebook and on LinkedIn. Would you put into the comments, if you're comfortable, a situation where you may have had your buttons get pushed, feel a reaction when a child was doing something? And as you do that, we can keep going in our stuff. Yes, let's talk about why what Amanda and I know now works better than what we were doing before, like getting angry when our kids were angry.
I do
So I
want to say, Molly,
please,
however, that
please do.
that situation was recently within the past month. So
Mm,
I say that to say I am not perfect.
right. Absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
just as I am up here being the expert here tonight, I also am a work in progress and
Hmm.
am actively instilling these new habits. And there are some times where you just aren't going to be able to control the fact that
Right.
you're activated by something, depending on what you've already been through in life. It's that you catch it quicker and you switch it over a little sooner. So, so
Absolutely.
yeah, definitely. Let's get into that. What is the problem? What is
Yes.
happening?
What is the
Um,
problem?
so we're going to get into dysregulation tonight. So just for folks out there that might sound like, what is that you're saying here? Being regulated is a state of harmony, right, in your body. All your systems, your nervous system, everything's just cool, calm, collected, working as appropriate. And sometimes stress can come into our lives and cause all of that to get out of whack, starting with our nervous system. So, Molly, let's talk about that biology and the stress response. What is happening, and how does that end up looking then on the outside?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, lovely graphic here. The stress starts when there is a stress alarm that goes off. That's the brain on fire. So something has stressed us out. Way back when it was, the tiger is coming or the bear is chasing you. Stress alarm goes off in our brain, which then leads to the glands and the being told to release these stress hormones, things like cortisol and adrenaline and things like that, which are not bad for us unless they're a constant thing happening. So the stress hormones, then I don't know if you can see my little arrow, you cannot. The stress hormones flood the body and create these body-wide changes. And they're body-based changes. Things like our muscles get stronger, our heartbeat gets faster, and our brain doesn't quite think as well. So the stress alarms go off, the brain on fire, the stress hormones are released, and then there are these body based, body wide changes that happen that we are not necessarily in control of, and neither are our children. And those then lead to behaviors we might see: nerves being on edge, sudden anger, erratic decisions, or for our children, fight, flight, and freeze might look like some of these. These might be a little small on your screen, but I think you can imagine what they are: anger, irritability, lashing out, blowing up, hitting, kicking, biting, throwing things, yelling, being destructive. Flight might look like fidgeting or restlessness, running away or trying to run away, having a hard time paying attention. I notice when my brain is stressed, like my body and my brain are stressed, I can't think real straight and I can't pay attention. There's also freeze, which I have to admit I saw a lot of in the past few years, where with COVID and things like that, self isolation, shutting down, children becoming verbally unresponsive, zoning out, daydreaming, things like that. So that's the first step for us as parents is to recognize that the behavior we're seeing is a physiological body-based response on behalf of the child. And just to recognize that. And sometimes it's hard because we see a behavior, and for us, it sets up a stress response in the adult body. We get scared, nervous, triggered when our children are having a blow up. That's okay. It's okay to recognize it. I mean, have you heard that thing, name it to tame it? Have you heard that? I think Amanda, you may have.
Yes.
Um, Name it to tame it, and it'll change how you can respond to your child in the moment. Now, Amanda knows a lot about, her quick recap. This is what's happening. This graphic's a little exciting, but on the left we have the alarm, the stress hormones, that the brain on fire. Here comes the bear, and then the fight, flight, and freeze. Amanda, could you talk to us about what can we do differently as adults, right as we notice our reaction happening?
Yeah, absolutely. So, the first thing is to, again, we can't do anything with the problem if we don't recognize that it's a problem. So, like I said, the goal is not that we're going to give you this information and magically overnight you're just going to be like, okay, I do this different now. That's not reality when your body is having a biological response, right? But it's to start to understand the process so you can call it and name it out as it's happening. So I've developed this kind of three-step, three C's, easy to remember process for this, right? And so that way you can kind of know where to go when you're in that moment. So the first thing is you got to catch it, okay? Validate, like Molly said, you got to catch it in the moment and validate, okay, I don't know what the heck to do here. I know I'm supposed to do something different. Something is happening that I can see going awry. I got to catch it and recognize to do something. It is okay to not know what to do. We were not taught this, right? I don't know anywhere in the how many years did I go to school? 20 probably, totally, right? Not anywhere in that process did someone teach me how to regulate my own emotions, recognize emotions, name emotions, let alone recognize them in someone else, unless it was like grief, or joy, right? So
Mhm.
we weren't taught this. We have to have some self compassion and grace in that process in order to be willing to be vulnerable enough to learn, make mistakes, and grow from that,
Right,
right?
right.
Um, yeah. Did you want to chime in?
I did want to chime in because I'm monitoring the chat,
Oh,
and
yeah.
just so you know, we've got someone with us who's got a 2-year-old who's very strong-willed, and she's noticed that meeting him with a strong will in return is not working. And so, Ruthie, we're going to tell you what you can do. We've got someone saying that Dan Siegel brings up the name of Name It to Tame It. Dan Siegel is a well-known brain researcher. Yep. And there is someone asking about their 8-year-old, and if they should become physically active with their 8-year-old, like should they hit is a question. So that's a question that's coming up, and we're going to talk about that. So you've done catch, go into calm. So, Jay, this is something you could do when your 8-year-old is really just coming at you. Okay, so start
Yeah.
with this.
So there's these things called mirror neurons in our body,
Hmm.
right? And so that means that whatever's going on in my body, the person in front of me, the child, can
Hmm.
sense that even without me saying any words. It's just a way that we humans are just so magical, and vice versa, right? So if I get angry and intense and over, right, and bigger, then
Hmm.
their body's going to say, oh no, I need to get bigger. I need to defend, right? So that's not where we're going to want to go with this. If you understand that concept, then you can understand where the other side would also come into play. So if we can calm ourselves, right? If we can choose, hey, I would like to recognize that I'm about to get escalated and I need to step away. I like to teach adults that I'm too drunk to drive because Molly explained the very basic brain science, and I'll add another additional step to help you understand is that when the cortisol, when the adrenaline, when the stress alarm is going off in your very primal back of your brain here, this frontal lobe where your concentration, memory, focus, logical thinking, rational
Decision
thinking,
making,
decision
right?
making, it's offline. They're not plugged in at the same time, right? So if you're stressed out and you haven't calmed that stress yet, then this brain can't think clearly. You're too drunk to drive. So the first thing is we got to get that back online. Daniel Siegel has a wonderful hand brain model for that that we'll talk about as well.
Hmm.
So the next step that you need to do is calm yourself first. Until
Right.
you sober up, until you get calm, you're not going to be able to think clearly to make a rational decision of what to do.
Hmm. Hmm.
So you're gonna want to build up your bucket of calming tools, get your brain
Right.
back online, and that's going to be an individualized decision. There's lots of ways that we can do that and calm down.
Right.
Some of my favorites are breath. Your breath is always with you,
Yeah. So,
always with you.
yeah. So, a couple people who are commenting in here. Um, I know that some of you are feeling that when your buttons are getting pushed and when your kid is doing something, you uh, sometimes you want to, physically discipline them and show them, hey, that's not the way to do it. And I'm just curious, how that's working out for you. Does that seem to calm them down? Um, and it's something that we can talk more about. But one of the things that we have noticed with the work that we do with our parents and our families is that when we as adults can start to uh, control our own reactions, we actually can teach the children how to calm down and control their reactions. So I'm going to move into choosing. You get to choose your path. And if you want to choose the path of elevate and escalate, we kind of know where that goes. Like things get hot, things get higher, right? If you want to choose the path of calm and connect, here are a couple of strategies that people can use. Um, Connect with your child like on a calmer level, get down on their level, sit, breathe, listen. Unless, of course, we're in a situation where someone is in danger, like if they're trying to hit you, or if they're hitting someone else, or if they are in danger, then you don't want to go that way right away, right? But if you can connect with your physical presence with your children, get down to their level, sit, breathe, listen. Let those mirror neurons that Amanda talked about do their work. Um, they when you start to calm down, they start to calm down. When their storm meets our calm, regulation starts. But here's a big point. You don't necessarily need to try to fix or problem solve the problem. Keep in mind that the instinctual part of the brain and the prefrontal cortex, so the amygdala and the prefrontal cortex, they are not on at the same time. So when they're having that stress response back in their amygdala, those fight, flight, freeze, all those, the prefrontal cortex is off. And even if you were to try to lecture them during that point, they might not remember it because their short-term memory turns off at that point. So the teaching, you want to do the teaching after things have calmed down. So connect with healthy and loving touch, hugs, cuddles, hair brushing. And why does this work? That healthy and loving touch triggers oxytocin. And so that does oxytocin in brief is an antidepressant. It's the I'm being taken care of. It's the, sort of happy love chemical there. So that connecting physically in the same space. You don't necessarily have to touch, but being side by side. If any of you are watching this and you are teachers, you know that we can't like pull a kid into our lap and cuddle like you see on this graphic here, but you could sit next to them and be with them. I have some great stories of that working for people. Another way to connect is with our verbal presence, our awareness, our words. I see, I notice, and it's okay to say to them, hold on, I just need to check where we are. Amanda. Okay, there we go. Thank you. Um, things like, oh, I see how you're feeling. That must be really hard. When you say something like that, it's a little trick. It goes right into the instinctual part of their brain. I'm touching back here, or for you who know Dan Siegel's hand brain, it goes deep into the brain and it tells the amygdala, I'm being taken care of. So you have that, yep, the hand model of the brain, the prefrontal cortex that is flipped. You have the amygdala that is desiring connection. The amygdala is in charge of survival. And not only is it fight, flight, and freeze, but it's also connection with the um, the adult in their life, a caring adult. Because if they feel connected to the child, the instinctual part of the child knows that they will be seen, fed, housed, loved, and they will survive. So using our words to say, I see, oh, I notice how you're feeling. I taught elementary music for 20 years, and kids would come into my classroom very, very elevated, very ex- frustrated or sad or angry. Often they were coming from gym class. And I didn't have a whole lot of time to sit down and work out the problem and help them regulate um, because I had, 29 other kids that I needed to take care of. So taking a quick moment and just saying, oh, I see how frustrated you look right now. Oh, I know how that feels. It kind of feels like magic, but they would just go, oh, I do feel frustrated. And they would have a little moment. I'd say, just come in when you're ready, and I'd go and teach. So choosing our path, calm and connect with our physical presence, but also our verbal presence and our awareness there. I think I'm done with that, Amanda. Let me check. Oh, another thing. Other ways to co regulate with your child if you sense a blow up is coming, like beforehand, take a walk outside, move your body together. Um, have a dance party, get some jokes going, like something that gets you doing something connected and together before the blow up comes. Oh, this was my last point, Amanda, in this. When you do those things, and we have lots more tips and tricks, this is just a quick, thing for you. Then there is this instinctual lessening of the stress chemicals that are coursing through the body. And then the brain can come back online. And that's when afterwards you can go into fixing the problem.
Yep.
Yes, I see, Heather, you're giving some verbiage. I know that being a big sister can be frustrating sometimes. How about if we, and you come up with something? Yeah.
How many of us as adults just want to be seen,
Hmm.
right? You know, how
Hmm.
many of us are craving to just be seen and understood? And of course, our children are as well, and they're newer to this world as than we are.
Right.
And you know, just to give that, if anyone knows Maslow, right? Maslow's hierarchy of needs. We need that safety as a foundation to build anything upon. So,
Right.
um, coming together, that human connection and safety is going to help us reach our goals with our kiddos and get them to thrive, right? Rather than always being stuck in this power struggle.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. So let me just go back and check our goals and see if tonight was just kind of a taste of this, right, Amanda? We can't give you every single thing in the 30-minute live. Let's see. Number one, did we give you a foundational understanding of what's happening? I'm trying to think back. That was things like Amanda, scan our notes. We'll do a quick review. That was like stress in the brain and
Yeah. Brain
behaviors you
science.
see. Yeah, the brain
Yeah.
science and behaviors you see. The behaviors we see come from the body and the chemicals coursing through our bodies. And did we give you a couple of ways that you can use to regulate yourself first? Amanda, I know you work a lot with adults on that in your practice. Are you
Hmm.
able to do just sort of a 2-minute
Yeah.
in your
So
practice? What, yeah.
yeah, breath is my favorite, as I mentioned, because your breath goes everywhere with you. There's a couple caveats to that of people, that might have like asthma or other breathing issues, or if they have like a panic disorder, they don't love breath. But for most folks, it automatically, there's a thing called your vagus nerve in your body that I won't get into today, but it is wonderful. And if you can activate it in any ways, it helps teach your body to regulate itself. So you could activate your vagus nerve with something called 4-7-8 breathing. So you breathe in your nose for 4 seconds, you hold for 7 or as long as you can, and then you audibly exhale out your mouth for 8 or as long as you can. And check in with your stress level before and after. Do it a few times and see how your body feels. That one always helps me sleep. It's amazing. Um, Definitely love breath. And then another one that you can use to activate your vagus nerve is cold temperature. So you could take an ice cube and put it on the base of your neck. That'll shock you right into some clarity.
You
Or you
are
could
kidding
also
me.
yeah, you can also
Okay.
drink some cold water. When I used to work in restaurants years ago, I didn't know I was intuitively trying to regulate. I thought I was just hot and stressed, but I would walk into the walk-in freezer and just be like, ah, so good.
Okay. I have a friend who swears by turning his shower cold. Like he goes in the shower and then he turns it cold right before he gets out for a little bit. Okay. So thank you. And then we hope that we've empowered you a little bit to co-regulate with your children. Build those connections. Now, what's next? This was just a taste. If you'd like a workshop version of this, where we support you in implementing these techniques, where we work together as a team instead of just up on the screen, just Amanda and I up on the screen. It's a bunch of us all together in a Zoom. We are doing a Surviving the Blowups workshop. What it is it will be Tuesday, April 25th at 6:30 p.m. Central, 7:30 Eastern. It's going to be an hour and a half, so 90 minutes, and it is $35. And you can register by scanning that, or some of you we will email out to you if we have your email information. We'll email out to you the link to register, or just contact us. Comment or reach out, contact us, and we can let you know how you register for that. Any closing words? Because we are almost at 30 minutes and we did not want to go longer than that.
That was so good. We timed that so well.
We're good at what we do. Look at us, professional.
Heather Heather said me and my vagus nerve are best friends, all the grunts I do in a day. So that's another way you can do that, which is actually one of my favorites that my husband has just learned that I'm activating my vagus nerve. I'm not walking around the house angry as grunting. And it's funny because my 18-month-old has picked it up and sometimes just be walking around the house.
Oh my gosh. I yes, I didn't know about that one, so I'm learning things tonight. Well, thank you everyone for coming and spending some time with us. Hopefully this was supportive to you, and keep in mind that you're not alone. We are all in this together. So Have a very good night. I'm going to leave this up for just a few moments for you to pop in some last minute comments. Um, Ruthie says she's ready to try the three C's.
Yay.
Tiffany, great to see you. Thanks. And have a good night. Happy Monday night. See
Have a
some of you
wonderful
on
evening.
April 25th. Bye bye.